My parents told me to lose their number, so I cancelled every bill I'd paid for 14 years. Reddit stories. What they thought was an emotional threat turned into a financial reality they weren't prepared for. Watching the panic set in forced me to confront how long I'd been valued only for what I provided. Hey Reddit. I'm Andrew, 36, and 3 weeks ago my parents texted me. We've carried you long enough. Lose our number. Which was an Olympic-level plot twist, considering I'd spent 14 years carrying them like a financially responsible pack mule with student loans and a mild caffeine addiction. But this story doesn't start with the text. It starts at Dylan's engagement dinner, otherwise known as the night my family accidentally announced I was their full-service financial institution. Romano's. Saturday. 6 p.m. I walked in still wearing my work badge because I'd come straight from a derailment emergency. I'd been coordinating freight reroutes for 9 hours and smelled faintly like diesel stress. Didn't matter. My family wasn't looking at me, not unless their wallets tingled. Mom waved me over like she was summoning her favorite appliance. Dad gave me the nod men do when they want to signal respect but not actually give any. And Dylan, 3 years younger, unemployed, always launching some vague, consulting venture that didn't seem to involve actual consulting or ventures, pulled me into one of those bro hugs that felt more like a mugging of my personal space. Dinner was the usual theater. Every compliment pointed at Dylan. Every question directed at Maris. Every financial responsibility quietly slid across the table toward me. Nobody asked how I was doing. Nobody asked about my job. Nobody even asked about the train derailment I'd just spent the day untangling. I was background furniture. Until dessert, where Dad stood and tapped his water glass like a man about to give a TED Talk titled How to Take Your Oldest for Granted Without Noticing. We really want to thank Andrew, he boomed. He's always been our emergency fund. The table laughed. Actual, genuine laughter. My brother grinned like he'd trained them for this exact moment. Oh yeah, Dylan added, raising his glass. Andrew's basically our insurance policy. Man always pulls through. Even Maris's parents, sweet, normal, unsuspecting people, looked at me like I should bark on command. The waiter brought the check. Dad looked at it. Looked away. Dylan looked at his phone. Mom studied her napkin like it contained coded instructions. 10 seconds of silence. Then the expected line. You mind grabbing this one? We'll square up later. Later. The mythical land where all their debts lived, alongside unicorns and their dignity. I paid the $380. Nobody said thank you. Not one syllable. I went home simmering, but still ready, still stupid enough, to check the automated payments I kept running so their entire financial ecosystem didn't collapse. And that's when I got the group chat notification. The one I wasn't supposed to see. The one where they were ripping me apart in real time. Calling me toxic. Entitled. Judgmental. Inferior. And then, the message that started everything. We've carried you long enough. Lose our number. I stared at it. Then typed back. Okay. I'm canceling every payment tonight. And reader. I did. All of them. And that's when the begging started. The silence after my I'm canceling every payment tonight text lasted exactly 4 minutes. 4. Long enough for shock to register. Not long enough for self-awareness to develop. At 12:14 a.m., the first cracks formed. Dylan. Bro, what does that mean? Mom. Andrew, don't be dramatic. We were venting. You know how families talk. Dad. Fix this. Fix this. Not let's talk, not we didn't mean it, just the usual command like I was a Roku remote they misplaced. But I didn't reply. I started dismantling their financial safety net with the same quiet precision I used to reroute freight after a derailment. One system at a time. No emotion. Just clicks. 1. Health insurance, cancelled. 4 people were on my plan. Mom. Dad. Dylan. And because Dylan had the audacity of a golden retriever with no job, Maris, I submitted a termination request for the end of the month. Representative: Sir, just confirming, you're removing all dependents? Yes. Even your parents? Especially them. 2. Car insurance, removed. 4 cars on my policy. Dad's truck. Mom's SUV. Dylan's BMW, which he claimed made him look like a founder. Maris's sedan. All uninsured now. I removed them with the ease of deleting spam emails. 3. Business account overdraft link, disconnected. Dad had linked his company account to my checking so that when his business bled money, I bled money. Click. Gone. Let the overdraft fees commence. 4. Storage unit auto pay, cancelled. 3 years of paying $175 a month to store Dylan's old furniture he planned to use when he moved out. Auction time. 5. Property tax escrow, terminated. They hadn't paid taxes since 2018. I had. Without me? Hello, delinquency notice. 6. Business credit line, guarantor removed. Remember the consulting venture Dylan bragged about? He only had a credit line because I co-signed. At 1:32 a.m. I revoked my guarantee. He now owed the bank $13,700 immediately. By the time I closed my laptop, I'd freed myself from 14 years of financial drain, $412,000 in documented support, a family who resented me for helping them. I went to bed actually smiling. At 3:40 a.m. my phone erupted like a dying robot. 46 missed calls. 31 texts. 6 voicemails. I answered the next ring just out of curiosity. It was Dylan. Panicked. Breathless. Sounding like someone had stolen his personality, as well as his safety net. Bro, what did you do? The business account is negative. Maris's insurance got cancelled. My BMW got flagged as uninsured. What is happening? I sipped water. You told me to lose your number. That was MOM. You know she exaggerates. No, I said. I know she meant it. He was quiet. Then, you can't do this to us. Us. There it was again. As if I were part of a team I didn't sign up for. As if I hadn't been single-handedly funding the team for over a decade. You cut me off emotionally, I said. I'm just matching your energy financially. I said sorry. You said I was entitled and toxic. That was a misunderstanding. No, I said calmly. The misunderstanding was you thinking the ATM had feelings. He made a strangled noise. Put Mom on, he croaked. I'm going to bed, I said and hung up. Turned my phone off. Slept like the dead. By sunrise, the financial fallout hit my family like a biblical plague. If the Bible had included a chapter titled, Thou shalt not treat thy son like an ATM. I turned my phone on at 7:12 a.m. It exploded. Mom, 18 texts. Call me right now. Your father is having a panic attack. The insurance said we have no coverage. This is cruel, Andrew. We didn't mean lose our number. Dad, 11 texts. We paid a doctor out of pocket. $387 for blood pressure pills. Fix this. Answer the phone. Now. Dylan, 29 texts, 5 missed calls. The bank froze my credit line. How did they even know? They say the balance is due in 72 hours. BRO. Bro, answer me. Maris is crying. This is on you. My favorite was from my aunt. Aunt Drusilla. This is manipulative behavior. Real families don't behave like this. Shame on you. Right. Real families don't hold secret group chats calling their financial provider toxic. The first collapse, Dylan's consulting empire. By noon, Dylan's business credit line was officially frozen. It took 8 hours for his entire company to implode. At 12:40 p.m. he sent a voice message. My client's cancelled. They said I look unreliable. They saw the bounce payment alert. What do I do? I didn't respond. But I did listen to it twice. Purely for educational purposes. By 4 p.m., he'd posted a vague Instagram story. Sometimes people closest to you are the ones who sabotage your dreams. I nearly printed it and hung it on my fridge. The second collapse, the house. At 6:23 p.m., I got the tax delinquency notice forwarded from my old email. Because yes, for years, I was so deep in the family accounting trenches that bills came to me instead of them. The county notice said, balance overdue, $3,640. Failure to pay may result in lien or foreclosure. $3,640. Less than Dylan's monthly DoorDash habit. Yet according to my parents, we've supported you long enough. Mom called at 7. I picked up on the 5th ring just to see what flavor of panic she was on. She was sobbing dramatically, the kind of crying you'd hear in a soap opera when someone ruins Thanksgiving turkey. Andrew, how could you do this to us? Our home is at risk. You told me to lose your number. We were upset. You said you'd carried me long enough. We didn't mean that. We just meant emotional burden. I'd never asked you for anything. Silence. Deep, abyss-level silence. Then, that's not the point. Oh, I think it is. Click. I hung up. The third collapse. Aunt Priscilla attempts a hostile takeover. Monday morning, 8:05 a.m. I'm at work reviewing freight reroutes, when reception calls. Andrew, there's a woman here who says she's your aunt, and she needs to speak to you immediately. She's extremely emotional. Of course she was. I walked to the lobby. There she stood, wearing sunglasses indoors, clutching her purse like she was mourning a relative who hadn't actually died. She marched up to me. We need a family meeting. Now. No. You don't understand the damage you're doing. No, Auntie. I understand it better than anyone. You're acting like a dictator. You're acting like I owe you rent. Her voice shot up an octave. Your parents are losing their house. Not my problem. You paid IT for years. Correct. Past tense. She sputtered. You're abandoning us. You abandoned me first. I just finally noticed. She tried one final line. God is watching how you treat family. I nodded. Good. Then he saw your group chat. She froze. Her sunglasses slid down her nose. I turned around and walked back towards security. Please escort her out. She wailed. Like actually wailed. Like someone turned her emotional settings to opera meltdown. Security led her out while she shouted. You're making a mistake. We are your people. I corrected her without looking back. No. I was your wallet. By the end of the week, Dylan's business was dead. My parents were uninsured. Their house was facing a lien. My aunt had been banned from my workplace. And nobody had learned a single lesson. But I had. For the first time in 14 years, my money was mine. And I wasn't done yet. I thought the chaos would slow down after the house lien, the insurance lapses, and Dylan's business collapsing like a folding chair under a drunk uncle. Reader, it did not. My family regrouped like a cult that just discovered group texting. The emergency family summons. Saturday morning, 9:12 a.m. Doorbell rings. I check the camera. My parents, Dylan, Aunt Priscilla, all standing on my porch like the world's worst Avengers. I didn't open the door. Mom cupped her hands to the glass like a raccoon trying to break into a bakery. Andrew! We need to talk. Nope. This is important. You told me to lose your number. I also lost my front door. Dad stepped forward, trying to look authoritative while wearing cargo shorts. Open this door right now. No. This is not a negotiation. Good. I'm not negotiating. Dylan jumped in, voice cracking like a teenager caught sneaking in past curfew. Bro just let us in. We can fix this. You had 14 years to fix it. Aunt Drusilla attempted the dramatic, tearful Aunt Angle. Baby, please, we're your family. For people who called me toxic? You're not even my acquaintances. I hit the ignore button on the doorbell and went back to my breakfast burrito. They stayed on the porch for 34 minutes. Finally left when my neighbor emerged carrying golf clubs and started filming them. The fake medical emergency. That night, around 11:47 p.m., I got a text from an unknown number. Your mother is in the hospital. Heart attack. She is asking for you. Please come. Then another from a different number. ER room 3. She's asking for closure before it's too late. Then another. Don't let her die thinking you hate her. 3 burner numbers. Same writing style. Not subtle. But okay. Let's investigate. I called the hospital. Hi, I'm looking for a patient, Mom's name. Was she admitted today? Typing. Pausing. No, sir, no one by that name has been admitted in the last 72 hours. I almost applauded. A+ effort in emotional manipulation. F execution. So I drove there anyway. Not because I believed them. Because I wanted to watch the circus live. I arrived at the ER. Walked in. And there they were. Mom sitting upright. Fully clothed. Scrolling Facebook. Dad pacing dramatically. Dylan looking around nervously. Aunt Drusilla clutching tissues like she'd just been nominated for Best Actress. They spotted me. Mom immediately clutched her chest. Oh. Andrew, you came. Yeah, I said. We're gonna skip the performance. Where's the doctor? Dad stepped forward. There is no doctor. I held up a finger. So no heart attack. Silence. Then Dylan blurted. We just need your signature on something. Ah. There it was. The truth. I walked to the check-in counter and grabbed the clipboard they were clearly hovering over. Responsible party agreement. Guarantor authorization. Financial responsibility addendum. They wanted me to sign on as the payer for whatever imaginary treatment they intended to manufacture. I set the clipboard down and looked at them. You faked a medical emergency so I'd pay your hospital bills? Mom sputtered. It wasn't fake. I had chest tightness. From what? The stress of losing your unpaid employee? Dad tried to soften his voice. Son, the bills are piling up. Just this once. This once? I repeated. I've already paid 412 times for this once. Dylan stepped forward. Come on, man, you can't just walk away from family. I didn't, I said. You kicked me out. I just took my money with me. And then I left. Mom gasped like I'd slapped her with a Bible. Aunt Drusilla whispered, You'll regret this. I walked out of the hospital into the night air. Breathing easily. Heart steady. For the first time in 14 years. No guilt. No panic. No obligation. Just peace. The texts kept coming for hours. You're heartless. You abandoned us. We'll talk when you're ready to be reasonable. I didn't answer any of them. Because now? Everything went to my attorney. And I wasn't turning back. My attorney warned me that the next phase would be the emotional escalation stage. A polite legal way of saying, your family is about to try every manipulation tactic known to mankind. He wasn't wrong. By week 3, the panic had hardened into strategy. Not a good strategy. Not a coherent strategy. But a loud one. It started Wednesday at 6:42 a.m., which already irritated me because nothing good happens before coffee. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. We're having a family meeting. Mandatory. Tonight. 7 p.m. Mandatory. Like they were HR. 2 minutes later, another text from a different number. This is serious. Don't make us come get you. Come get me? I almost hoped they'd try. My building's security guards were ex-military and bored out of their minds. They would have loved that. The meeting I didn't attend. I didn't reply. Didn't acknowledge it. Didn't even block them yet. At 7 p.m. I pictured them all gathered in my parents' kitchen. Mom clutching her rosary like I'd joined a cult. Dad pacing and ranting about respect. Dylan Googling how to apologize but not really. Aunt Drusilla fanning herself dramatically. Maris sitting there confused how her life derailed this fast. What I didn't picture was a productive conversation. And based on the 37 texts that arrived during their meeting, I was right. Mom, you're destroying this family. You're acting like a stranger. Dad, you don't get to rewrite history. We were there for you too. Emotionally. Dylan, seriously bro, just come talk. Stop hiding behind your lawyer. Stop making things weird. Aunt Drusilla. This is spiritual warfare. You're under negative influences. That last one, yeah? I screenshotted it for my attorney. Purely for entertainment value. The attempted gotcha moment. At 8:21 p.m., Dylan sent a final message. If you're not here by 9, we're voting to cut you out permanently. The irony nearly sent me into cardiac arrest from laughing. They were threatening again to cut off the son who paid their taxes, insured their cars, kept their business afloat, funded their daily lives, absorbed every emergency. Cutting me off was like a drowning man firing the lifeguard. So I texted back. Please proceed. Then turned my phone off for the night. The only person who acted like a human being. Later that week, I got a quiet message from an unexpected number. Maris. Dylan's fiancée. Hey. I feel like I need to say this. I didn't know how much you were doing for them. Dylan wasn't honest with me. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve any of this. It was the first apology I'd received from anyone in my family in over a decade. I stared at it for a long time. Not because it fixed anything. Just because it was proof that someone, anyone, could see clearly. I typed back. Thank you? That means more than you know. Then her follow-up came. I'm not sure I can stay with someone who lies like this, but either way, I hope you protect your peace. And with that, I realized something important. The people who weren't even related to me treated me better than the ones who were. The real warning shot. Saturday morning, my attorney called. His tone had shifted, measured, professional, a little heavier. I received an email from your parents, he said. They're claiming you abandoned them and are preparing to contest the separation. I exhaled. Of course they were. Of course they'd pretend this wasn't what they demanded. And, my attorney continued, they're threatening to file an injunction preventing you from severing financial ties. I blinked. Can they do that? He snorted. No. It has no legal basis. But it tells me you should brace yourself. They're escalating. I leaned back in my chair. The fake hospital stunt wasn't their final move. It was just their warm-up act. The real storm was coming. But this time? I wasn't the one holding the roof up. The storm hit at 5:17 a.m. on a Thursday. I woke to the kind of banging on my door that makes you think either A. A SWAT team has the wrong address, or B. Your family has finally reached boss-level entitlement. Spoiler. It was B. I checked the peephole. There they were. Dad, Mom, Dylan, Aunt Drusilla. All four, standing on my apartment landing like an intervention from a reality show that got cancelled mid-season. Dad pounded again. Andrew. Open this door right now. We're not leaving. I cracked the door 2 inches, chain still on. No. Mom immediately went into her performance voice. Honey, please. You're tearing this family apart. You told me to lose your number. That was emotional frustration, she said, waving her hands. We didn't mean it. Dylan pushed forward, palms out. Bro, seriously, we need to talk. You can't keep hiding behind lawyers. I'm not hiding, I said. I just don't want to talk to you. Aunt Drusilla put a hand dramatically to her chest. This is not how family behaves. You're right, I said. It's how boundaries behave. Dad snarled. You think you're better than us. That's the problem. I raised an eyebrow. You think I'm an ATM, that's the problem. He opened his mouth, probably to yell something about respect, but before he could, the building's security guard rounded the corner. His name was Jerry. Former Navy. Built like a refrigerator with opinions. He stopped beside me. Everything all right here, Mr. Fallon? I gestured at the chaos. They're trespassing. Jerry nodded once. Turned to my family. You folks need to leave. Mom gasped. Leave? We're his family. Jerry didn't blink. He says you're trespassing. That means you leave. Now. Dad tried to puff up. You can't tell me. Jerry stepped forward just slightly. Dad suddenly remembered how ankles work and took a step back. I almost smiled. The real reason they came. They didn't drive across town before sunrise for emotional closure. They came to deliver something. A manila envelope. Dad shoved it through the inches of open door until it hit the chain. Since you refused to answer your phone, he snapped. Here. I took it. They stood in a row like cult recruiters waiting for me to convert. I didn't open it. Anything else? I asked. Mom burst into tears. You're killing us, Andrew. Boundaries aren't murder. You're abandoning your mother. You abandoned me first. I just stopped funding it. Dylan's voice jumped an octave. Bro, please. You're gonna destroy everything if you don't fix this. No, I said. I just stopped destroying myself for you. Then I shut the door. Jerry stood guard until they slunk away. I waited until the hallway was silent before opening the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper. A family resolution, written in dramatic, shaky handwriting like they were reenacting the Declaration of Independence. It said, We, the undersigned, demand that you meet with us immediately to restore family unity and resume your responsibilities. Failure to comply will result in permanent removal from this family. They even signed it at the bottom. All four. Like a petition to Santa. I read it twice. Then laughed so hard I had to sit down. They didn't want me back. They wanted their funding back. And because they'd lost control of the money, they were trying to control the narrative. But here's the thing. When someone shows you your role in their life, believe them. I put the paper in my attorney's file. I already knew what Part 7 was going to bring. The breaking point. The final manipulation. The last attempt to drag me back in. And the moment I walk away for good. The funny thing about people who've lived their whole lives off someone else's labor is this. They always believe the collapse is temporary. That any moment now, the universe, or the ATM sun, will swoop in and glue their lives back together. By week 6, the denial cracked. And something uglier crawled out. The car crisis. Sunday morning at 9:14 a.m. I got a text from Dylan. Bro, they took the car. They just took it. They didn't even let me get my gym bag. I ignored it. 30 seconds later. Bro, are you there? Hello? This is serious. Then a picture came through. Dylan standing in a suburban parking lot watching his BMW get winched onto a tow truck. No insurance. No payments. No overdraft protection from me. Consequences had finally RSVP'd. Next, he tried guilt. They impounded it because you cut us off. If you had given us any notice. I typed back one sentence. I gave you 14 years of notice. Blocked. The storage unit auction. 2 days later, Aunt Drusilla left a voicemail, crying like a widow in a Victorian novel. They sold all of Dylan's things. Everything. His furniture, his suits, his memorabilia. They auctioned it. This is cruel, Andrew. You should have told us the storage unit was in your name. I didn't call back. He hadn't paid a single month. I had paid 36. And his things were mostly broken IKEA furniture and cardboard boxes labeled business supplies that were actually full of unpaid bills. The house deadline. Day 48. My attorney called. Your parents have not refinanced. They submitted 5 incomplete applications to banks who immediately rejected them. Because of their credit? I asked. He let out a short laugh. Because they listed your income as unstable and unreliable. I actually set my coffee down and rubbed my forehead. They used my salary to claim I was the financial risk? Yes, he said. And your past assistance as proof you would continue assisting. There was a pause while I processed the audacity. Proceed with the auction, I said. He nodded. It's already in motion. The visit. That night, 10:47 p.m., they came again. Not to my home. To my job. Front desk called. Andrew, your parents, brother, and aunt are here. They're insisting. I walked down because I didn't want security dragging them out in front of clients. They were waiting in the lobby, huddled together like a flock of angry pigeons. Dad stepped forward. You're going to fix this. No. You will. He snapped. The bank said you can stop the auction with one signature. I'm not signing anything. Mom grabbed my arm. Honey, please. We're going to lose our home. You lost it years ago, I said. I've just stopped paying for the illusion. Dylan jumped in, wild-eyed. You can't do this. Where are we supposed to go? What about the wedding? Ask your fiancé, I said. Oh wait, she left. His mouth snapped shut. Aunt Priscilla tried the spiritual guilt. Andrew, God does not bless people who abandon their blood. God doesn't bless fraud either, I said. Or manipulation. Or fake hospital emergencies. Mom turned red. That was not fake. I raised an eyebrow. You were eating Cheez-Its in the ER waiting room. Dad tried for the nuclear option. If you let the house go, we will never forgive you. And that's when something quiet but solid settled in me. I don't need your forgiveness, I said. I need my life back. Then I turned to the receptionist. These individuals are not allowed inside this building again. She nodded. Security escorted them out while they yelled my name like I was their rebellious teenager and not the man who funded their adulthood. The first night of peace. When I got home, I left my phone on the kitchen counter and sat outside on my tiny balcony. For the first time in my adult life. I wasn't waiting for a disaster. I wasn't bracing for a request. I wasn't budgeting around other people's bad decisions. I wasn't responsible for a single person who wasn't responsible for me. It felt like oxygen. Quiet. Clean. Mine. The house auction was 72 hours away. Auction day minus 48 hours. I woke up to something strange. Silence. Not the peaceful kind I'd earned. The strategic kind that meant my family was regrouping. People like them never retreat, they recalculate. I made coffee, sat on my couch, opened my laptop, and waited. Didn't take long. At 9:12 a.m., my email pinged. Not from my parents. Not from Dylan. Not from Aunt Weaponized Guilt. From an address I didn't recognize. Maris. R asterisk 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 at gmail.com asterisk asterisk. Dylan's ex-fiancé. Subject line. You should know what they're planning. I opened it. The email. Hi Andrew. I know it's weird hearing from me, but I think you deserve a heads up. Your family showed up at my parents' house last night. They wanted help convincing me to call you. They said I was the only person you might listen to. They're planning something big. Something public. Your mom printed out what she called a statement to read at the auction. Your dad wants local news there to expose how cruel you're being. Dylan said he'll tell everyone you stole the house. I don't want to be involved. For what it's worth, after everything came out, I think you've been more of a parent to that family than any of them. Take care of yourself. Maris. I stared at the screen for a long minute. They weren't just going to show up at the auction. They were going to perform at it. Claim victimhood. Rewrite history. Blame the only person who ever held them up. My attorney called a few minutes later, must have seen the email too. "I'll be attending the auction with you now," he said. "They're escalating." No kidding. The day before the auction. The next wave hit at noon. Work front desk rang me again. "Andrew, your family mailed something. Certified. Marked urgent. Do you want it?" "No," I said immediately. "It's large. Looks like a binder?" "A binder. Of course." I told them to shred it. 5 minutes later, I got a picture from a coworker who ignored that instruction. A white 3-ring binder labeled, "Evidence of abuse by Andrew." Underneath, "To present at sheriff's office if necessary." I actually laughed. Not bitter. Not angry. I laughed because it finally clicked. They had never, not once, in 14 years, understood what I actually did for them. And now, cornered, collapsing, desperate, they were trying to turn the person who saved them into the villain who ruined them. People will do anything, absolutely anything, to avoid looking in the mirror. The night visit. At 9:50 p.m., 2 hours before I planned to sleep early for auction day, someone buzzed my apartment gate. I checked the camera feed. Mom and Dad. Standing there like missionaries with pamphlets. Except their religion was denial and their gospel was manipulation. The intercom crackled. "Andrew? Honey? Please let us in." "No. Just 5 minutes." "No. Your mother is distraught," Dad said. "She hasn't eaten all day. She had a panic attack twice." Mom added, voice trembling. "We're just asking you to talk." "You faked the last panic attack," I said. "It wasn't fake," she snapped instantly, way too fast for someone pleading. Then Dad leaned in so close his nose almost touched the camera. "You walk away from us at that auction tomorrow, you will regret it." And there it was. Not sadness. Not reconciliation. Not humility. Threat. I ended the call. Blocked the gate access. Watched them stand there in disbelief for a full minute before leaving. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. The 3 a.m. message. My phone buzzed at 3:07 a.m. Unknown number. I ignored it. Buzz. 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 Then the voicemail transcribed itself on the lock screen. "You think you're safe, but you're not. If you take that house from us, we will take something from you." My stomach went cold. Not because I was scared. Because I finally understood. This wasn't dysfunction anymore. It was war. And tomorrow, they were walking into the auction expecting a battlefield. They didn't realize. I wasn't fighting them. I was finishing the fight. Once and for all. Auction day. The kind of morning that feels too bright for the amount of chaos it's about to hold. My attorney, Grant, met me in the courthouse parking lot. Calm suit, calm voice, calm energy. The exact opposite of what was brewing inside that building. "You ready?" he asked. "I've been ready for 14 years. We walked in. The auction room was already half full. Investors, realtors, bored retirees who treat foreclosure sales like bingo night. And then, my family. Front row. All of them dressed like they were attending a funeral. My funeral. Dad sat stiff, jaw clenched. Mom dabbed her eyes theatrically with a tissue that definitely had no tears in it. Dylan looked like he'd swallowed a battery. Aunt Priscilla wore a church hat, because of course she did. They saw me. Collectively inhaled. Like the villain had finally arrived at their play. The PRE show. Mom stood up first. "Andrew," she whispered dramatically, loud enough for half the room to hear. "Please don't do this." Dad chimed in, equally loud. "We raised you. We gave you everything. You owe us." Grant stepped between us before I even opened my mouth. "This is not the time or place," he said calmly. "Any contact with my client goes through me." Dylan scoffed. Oh, please, he needs a lawyer now. What, to protect him from family? No, I said quietly. To protect me from you. They weren't ready for that one. Even Drusilla's hat tilted like it lost structural integrity. Calling the property. The clerk began the formal process. Next property, 1189 Briarwood Lane. That was their house. Mom started crying louder. Dad grabbed her hand for effect. The clerk continued reading numbers. Mortgage details. Lien amounts. Back taxes. Dylan muttered, "This is your fault," under his breath as I passed. I didn't respond. Because the numbers spoke for me. My payments had kept them afloat for 7 years. My credit had held the mortgage together. My money had prevented foreclosure long before today. Cutting me loose? They did this to themselves. The outburst. When the clerk called for opening bids, Dad snapped. Jumped out of his chair. "This whole thing is illegal. Our son is stealing our house." The clerk blinked. "Sir, your son is not bidding. He forced us into foreclosure," Dad yelled. "Actually," Grant said, stepping forward, "public record shows he financially supported your household for over a decade, allowing you to avoid exactly this outcome multiple times." People turned. Stared. Mom stood up too. "We are good, loving parents. And he abandoned us." Grant didn't raise his voice. "He stopped paying your bills after you told him to lose your number and remove himself from your life. Per your messages, you ended the relationship. He merely honored your request." The room murmured. It was the first time the truth existed somewhere other than inside my head. Mom sputtered. That was taken out of context." "It wasn't. It never was." The hammer drops. The bidding lasted 7 minutes. An investor bought the house at a number my family could never dream of paying. When the clerk announced the sale was final, Mom collapsed into her chair. Dad lowered his head. Dylan punched the side of the bench hard enough to bruise his hand. I felt nothing. Not joy. Not guilt. Not triumph. Just release. The same feeling as unclenching a fist you didn't realize you'd been clenching for half your life. The final confrontation. Outside, they cornered me. Dad's voice cracked. Why didn't you save us?" Mom's voice was barely a whisper. "Why would you do this to your own family?" And Dylan, shaking with anger. "We needed you." I looked at all of them. Really looked. For the first time without obligation distorting the view. "You never needed me," I said. "You needed my money. You needed my silence. You needed my willingness to disappear so you could keep taking." They stared back, stunned. "No one here," I continued, "ever asked what I needed. Not once. Not in 14 years. Mom swallowed. Softened her voice. "Well, what do you need now?" I smiled, small, real, the first honest smile I'd given them in years. "Nothing," I said. "And that's what scares you." I turned. Started walking. Dad shouted after me. "If you go now, you're gone forever." I stopped, just long enough to look back. I already was. 3 days after the auction, I got the check. My portion of the equity. $34,187. 14 years of work reduced to a number on a slip of paper, and somehow it still felt like freedom. I put half toward a down payment on a small house across town. Quiet street. Big windows. Nobody else's name on the deed. The other half I donated to a medical debt charity. Figured it was poetic to help strangers more than family ever helped me. My phone barely buzzed anymore. Dad stopped trying after a final message calling me heartless. Mom sent 3 paragraphs of guilt and scripture before going silent. Dylan tried threats, then apologies, then silence too. Not one of them ever said, "We're sorry." Not once. 2 months later, I stood in my new backyard grilling with Kate, radio low, warm night air in the trees. Peaceful in a way I didn't know was possible. My phone lit up. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Finished seasoning the chicken. Later, I listened. Mom's voice, soft, uncertain. Andrew. I don't know if you'll hear this. Your father and I are moving next week. Smaller place. We didn't realize how much you were carrying. I don't expect forgiveness. Just take care of yourself. Goodbye. I deleted the voicemail. Not out of anger. Out of acceptance. Some endings don't need a dramatic finale. Sometimes they're just quiet doors closing. I set my phone down, stepped onto the porch, and breathed in a life that was finally mine. For the first time in 14 years, I wasn't responsible for anyone but myself. And it felt like winning freedom back one breath at a time.